Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett, your Kick It Forward Soccer Talk co-host, alongside a couple of my good friends. In the middle here is my friend Matt LeMailey, and then on the other side is Blake Siebers, also a regular co-host here on Soccer Talk. Siebes, how are you today?
I'm good. A little warm today, heat index of 9, but we're rolling through it and going with everything, aren't we?
Yeah, let's be clear, it's Friday. We are here for the boys' semifinal action for the state tournament. We just watched the 1A semifinal games. Blake and I hung out and watched West Liberty take on Western Christian Hull, the Wolfpack. Western Christian Hull from the way northwest corner of the state, up there near Sioux Center. And then West Liberty all the way from the Iowa City area. So kind of meeting in the middle here. And then in the lower half of the bracket, we had Davenport Assumption, a regular here at the state tournament, taking on, that's right, Beckman Catholic of Dyersville.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, exactly. So LeMailey took that game in. Matt, let's start with you and talk a little bit about that game. It sounded like it was a good one.
It was. First of all, Assumption was probably the most organized, well-coached team I've seen so far this season. They use the space really well. They do have good players all over the field as well. They didn't really have many weaknesses. They use space really well. They get the ball wide and then find the gaps in the middle, playing a 4-5-1 it looked like. They also like to play through their number 11 on the right side, which is Charlie Leinert, I believe. And he's a lot of energy, good with the ball, likes to go one-on-one and beat his man. And then by going right a lot, it actually opened up space on the left as well. And they're very good at recognizing that and switching the fields. While I thought Beckman, knowing that Assumption was going to possess the ball really and stuff, I thought they had a fairly good game plan to press when the time called for it, try to win the ball early up high and create a counterattack. And as Assumption wasn't scoring but creating chances, they were getting a little frustrated. Maybe one or two penalty claims that, from my angle, it's difficult to tell, but one of them looked like a coming together where the goalie took out the player and the ball was not there really to be won. However, the ref had a better angle, so I'll give him benefit of the doubt there. But once they missed those two calls, Beckman kind of got some motivation, got into it, had some quick throws, quick free kicks with 30 seconds left. Odd a guy wide open on a back post. The quick free kick went an inch high on his head. Almost a great cross. Would have went up 1-0. And that would have made the game very different.
So instead it's 0-0 at halftime, right?
Yep.
And Matt texted me at half and said this would be a massive upset if Beckman were to win because not only is Davenport Assumption, sort of a historically winning, difficult team to beat, but they play a pretty heavy 2A and 3A schedule, right? And those are the only games they're losing, and they're winning a lot of those games as well, right?
Yeah, and when I went into the game, I noticed that Beckman was a higher seed than them and had more wins and less losses. And a lot of it is because Assumption's losses are to Pleasant Valley, Bettendorf, 3A teams.
I'll be excited if we ever get a chance to talk to Coach Zeller over there, who I'm going to ask you to chat about too for a second. But Coach Zeller, if that's something he does, I'm sure it's with some intent, but he just sort of says, well, I'll sacrifice whatever seed, we're going to get better games, and overall, like if you win those games, then it jumps your way to the top real quick. So I wonder how purposeful that is. So talk a little bit about the second half. It sounds like it was a different second half.
Yeah, a little different. However, I did like how the Assumption coach, he kept them on course. Like they could have easily panicked and gotten in over their head a little bit and tried to get too urgent too early. But they didn't. They maintained their composure. They kept possession still. They kept playing the same game that they were playing for the most part. And as a result, they got 2 goals out of just kind of hard work and earning it. The first goal it was hard to tell how the guy got the ball originally, but he tried to drill 1 or 2 defenders, got deflected off the guy's foot, hit his foot, and next thing you know, he's in. And he passes it in. And then the second one, their number 10 up top, who's the leading goal scorer, Medrano.
I was going to ask you about him. He's supposedly one of the standouts, right?
Yeah, his runs were excellent. They play a 4-5-1, it looked like, and he would go side to side, and their midfielders would make that second run constantly. And it was the first team I've seen consistently make the second run and find the pass as well.
We're going to have the Titan tactician check out Assumption in that final game and see if he agrees, because he's been very disappointed with the forward runs here this week. So it sounds like, Matt, you'll be bringing something to the other Matt here, hopefully.
And actually, based on what he said yesterday, I was looking for that. And it was very easier to see because he pointed that out as well, and he's right.
Great minds think alike.
Yep, and I noticed in the Johnson game, now once he said that, I recognized in the Johnson game, that was a problem.
For sure.
And, their use of space was so good. Clearly a lot of those guys I think have played together a lot.
So
probably club, so.
Yeah, and there's another player you mentioned that playing in the base of midfield that you really liked.
Yes, I thought Sam Burkhart, number 4, the holding mid, quietly did a great job. He won almost every ball cutting out the counterattacks, which is what Beckman's game plan was. Try to find. They have 2 big forwards, Beckman, they're twins, number 17 and 11, the Burkhart brothers.
And they lead the team in goals, huh?
Yep.
That's amazing.
But they were struggled to find them. They struggled to find them. They're not super mobile, so they couldn't go side to side as much. And number 4 was just cutting out everything. And once he won the ball, he kept it. Played the game really simple. Did the stuff that you don't really notice. Not flashy, but excellent player. I thought he read the game well. And he is kind of the key to them getting forward on the outsides because he holds the middle down. I thought he was a key player, and I just like to hope he gets the recognition he deserves. Considering he's not flashy, some people may not notice him right away.
Quick touch on Coach Zeller. He's got a sort of storied career as well, and then it sounds like this year is going to be his last. So are we going to see him kind of go out on top?
I would think so. I think they are the team to beat. I actually played college with a couple of guys he coached as well. One of them was a first-team All-American in college, so he knows how to win games and develop players as well. And considering he's been doing it for 26 years, won multiple state titles, and what I've seen today, I do think they're the team to beat for sure.
Right on. Well, we'll have to see how that goes tomorrow. Matt, thanks for your insight. Siebes, let's talk a little bit about the other game. It was a good one, for sure. But I think when it was all said and done, there was a clear winner. Let's talk a little bit about the first half, though.
Yeah, I think looking back on it, right? So it was 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah, so we have West Liberty taking Western Christian Hall.
Yeah.
No, we're good. And West Liberty kind of the big knockout win in the quarterfinal round, taking down Nevada in a late overtime game. And then who did Western Christian Hall beat? I don't recall. Sorry, Blake.
They only won 1-0 actually against Burlington.
That's right. And Burlington was 1 seed, correct?
Former state. No. Burlington's 8 seed, but they were the defending state champions.
So does that mean Western Christian Hall is the 1 seed?
That does.
Okay. So interesting matchup here for sure then.
Yeah, definitely a contrast of styles. Western Christian Hall, massive back line, and then super direct compared to West Liberty, who tried to get the ball down and play a little bit. And a couple decent chances in the first half from both sides. Goalkeeper for Western Christian Hall, probably, I would argue, the best goalkeeper we've seen, or at least I've seen all weekend so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And to his credit, the West Liberty goalkeeper, also a really strong player, saved a penalty in the first half, which was, good save. But I guess what we found out is he was carrying an injury, and that ended up being, really the defining moment of the game.
I think that's absolutely the game. So they were going away. They were at the far end. West Liberty was defending the far goal for the first half, and he was punching everything. And again, Western Christian Hall was putting balls in the kind of dangerous areas without much. I don't know, there was much intent, but let's make the goalkeeper decide. And he was awesome, brilliant, but he didn't catch anything. And then second half rolls around to the goal, right? Number 2 for Hull, the little they call him the mouse. Miles, yep. Miles Bacam clips the ball in as a free kick and goes. No pace on it, just goes to the goalkeeper's hands. And all of a sudden,
and he went to catch it. He didn't punch like he had been. He went to catch it. And it looked like his wrist or his hand just didn't have the strength to catch it. That ended up being a really, I don't know. It's a tough goal to give up. The number 2, Miles the Mouse, with the service. But then it wasn't long thereafter that we had a great service in the box. Miles rounds the goalkeeper. Right? Was that the second goal? Am I remembering that correctly, Blake?
So 3 play.
Who was 11?
Yeah, number 11 was.
And that was the
Jeremiah Credit.
Yeah, was that the nice little ball in from the number 10?
Yeah, but again, it kind of came down to the goalkeeper not having a strong hand, because he came out and you could easily once we remember that, once we saw it, that's right. You start paying attention to it, right? And all of a sudden it's all right. So again, that's super unfortunate for West Liberty, because I think that's the game changer. Whether they win or lose, I don't know. But definitely the first goal doesn't happen, the second goal doesn't happen due to that.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair to Western Christian Hull, they were putting a lot of pressure on them, and it was really kind of one-way traffic that whole second half. I don't think that West Liberty was really threatening when it was all said and done.
They did, and we talked. And another contrasting piece of styles of play there is Western Christian subbed a ton, and we talk about it, especially compared to what West Liberty did. They kept their kind of the top players on the field, and did that have any effect? I don't think so, but you never know, right? It's not terribly hot. Kids should be able to run 80 minutes or what, but no, fair, like you said, Ben, credit to Western Christian Hull, and they've definitely found a little recipe for success last year and this year, getting back to the final, and wonder if they can change the course against Assumption this year and hope maybe come out on top for the first time.
Yeah, so I think we've got ourselves a pretty, like we've talked about, a pretty tasty first 1A final round tomorrow. The girls, we've got Des Moines Christian taking on Davenport Assumption, and then on the boys' side, you've got Davenport Assumption against Western Christian Hull. So Davenport Assumption looking for the double this year, and nothing against the other two teams, but those Assumption squads both look pretty dangerous, pretty organized, and very well coached.
I love it. Anything else, boys, or should we get into 2L? Matt's got something. Let's hear it.
I just
End
think
us, Matty.
that, if any style is going to beat Assumption, it may be that big player, long ball kind of soccer that I think Western Christian is good at. Like, that's how they seem to be winning games, from what you say, with a good goalkeeper.
Well, we're in for a treat, right?
Yeah.
Contrasting styles. I'm sure both teams will be up for it. We'll catch you guys all tomorrow for the 1A final, but before that, let's catch some 2A action. All right, back again here at County in Des Moines for the 2A boys semifinal action. It is heating up. It's quite a warm day, right, weatherman? And how's the UV index right now? Have we checked lately? Is it still at that 9 marker?
No, we're down to 3.
Ooh.
However, the 41 air quality, so it's getting a little bit hazy.
Fair enough. Well, I would say that things have been pretty active over here. We had a lot of overtimes so far today. I think 3 of the 4 games have gone to extra time. Matt, I'm sorry, I guess if we haven't reintroduced him, Matt LeMailey's here joining us. Matt watched the Council Bluffs Lewis Central take on the Newton Cardinals. Newton, after upsetting DCG in the sub-state final and upsetting Bondurant in the first round of the state tournament, was riding high up against a pretty strong Council Bluffs Lewis Central team, right, Matt?
Yes, Lewis Central they're a strong team for sure. They're from the Council Bluffs area, so they have some access to some club players as well, which you can see their technical ability. And I think they're a little more front heavy. Their 3 players up top were pretty good and very active. They had some foot skills, and they were hard to deal with as a whole. Individually, maybe you could handle them, but as the 3 of them together, they were tough to deal with. And
yeah, the tricky Ricky of the group was number 11, Jonah Churchill, right?
Correct.
He was maybe not the most technically sound player I've seen, but he was just tricky. He had good ability to get away from players, and he was just really shifty.
Agreed. And he played up top, and right behind him was the number 10.
Actually, the number 10 too, which we like. That was Colton Costello.
Yep. So he actually ended up scoring the second goal for Lewis. We just missed the first one because we were finishing up here, and they scored immediately. So we weren't exactly sure, but the second goal, number 10 was coming from the right side. I think he was left-footed, and he put it on his left foot about 20 yards out. No one really stepped him, and he had a great shot off the far post and in.
So this was in the second half, right, Matt?
Correct.
So the first half ended 1-0. We had a quick chat with both I missed his name so James Driver's the Lewis Central coach. Had a quick chat with him. Also, he easily wins the prize for most powerful mustache at the state tournament. If you haven't seen that, check it out. And also, Coach Driver, kudos to your stash. So we had a good chat with him. Check that out on our Instagram stories. And then we also had a chat with Zach Jensen, the Newton coach. And their strategy was very much to play direct, pick up the second balls, and see what they can create in that final third.
Yep, and something I found very interesting was after Lewis scored the second goal, they all started saying immediately, don't just sit back and play defense, right? You don't want to invite pressure. It seems like maybe that could have been a problem for them this year. Like the coach had kind of drilled that into them when they got to this point. And you know what? They kind of sat back and invited pressure. And Newton had some free kicks, scored a header off one, nice header, right in the side netting off a narrow free kick, but made it really interesting at the end.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly, and that's we talk about this, Blake, right? Is 2-0 the most dangerous lead in soccer? And it's certainly not, right? No, it's certainly not. But there is a tendency when you're in that 2-0 situation to let your foot off the gas a little bit and let a team back in the game. So it's dangerous if you are not very smart and not experienced, but it's certainly not the most dangerous lead in sports.
Yep. And then I think Lewis's quality just is what prevailed for them. In the end, they had better players generally over the field. I think it was number 12 was a center back.
Sorry,
Yeah,
for Newton?
No, for
Yep.
Lewis.
Yep.
I thought he did pretty well at cutting out some of Newton's long balls and stuff, which is what their game plan was, to try to get in the box and try to play more of a longer game because they didn't have the ability to possess the ball as well. So I thought 12 did a good job there.
So Lewis Central heads into that state final. They were state champions back in 2019 on the back of a really strong goalkeeping performance. Then have been back in 2000. Haven't been back since this year. So they'll be looking to get back to their glory days, and they'll be taking on a very hot Pella Dutch right now, right, Blake?
Yeah, they're fun to watch. Second time in 2 days or 3 days I've watched them, both their games. They, we saw a lot of the Newton boys at the high school futsal event. Now the last couple of years, right? That we've had it, and then a lot of these Pella kids have been there as well a couple years ago. So it's kind of interesting seeing some of the faces show up as they're a bit older. But they get an early goal. I couldn't really tell who it was, but a goalkeeper kind of came out, bobbled it a bit, and Pella went up 1-0 early. And then as the first half went on, you guys want to talk about kind of relaxing and being content with the lead. Pella seemed to do that a bit, and Gilbert just continued to pressure and create chances. And it was actually a really, really good end of the first half, as Gilbert was, like I said, pressing, creating chances, and Pella was withholding or surviving, I guess maybe is the best way to say it. So then
Talk about the halftime talks a little bit, Blake. Who you had a chance to speak with Mark Solomon, the Pella coach, and also a chance to speak with B.J. Jordison, the Gilbert coach.
Yeah, so we talked to B.J. Jordison at Gilbert. He talked about, like, hey, we've grown into the game. We're doing well. We are we're great. Yeah, sorry. My sound may not be great. Thanks, sound man. We're going into the game, and let's not make any changes yet. But let's evaluate, halfway through to make some tactical changes. And guess what? It was still 1-0, 20 minutes to go. They started throwing everything forward. We'll talk about it here shortly, and they ended up getting one. And then conversely, Mark Solomon was, continue to want to try to get fresh legs in there, rotate players, and first or second half kicks off, and their best player, Semini, didn't come on. So he clearly picked up a knock, and it clearly impacted Pella because that boy is he's something special. So
Who stood out for you for Gilbert?
Yeah, so number 3 and 4.
Zach Holton and Owen Worth.
Yeah, two of their good players. Number 4 attacking player played up top for
That's
him.
Owen Worth.
Yep. Continued to get around the corner. Created a couple good chances. I liked him a lot, and he was involved, I believe, because they served the ball wide, and I think it was him that got up and headed it past the Pella goalkeeper Tyler Killerin. But those two were good, and their center back, number 13, Gilbert.
Owen Kautman.
Yeah, big, strong boy. I liked him. He was good as well. But then, so second half again, Semini out for Pella. Again, they're surviving, and I don't want to say it was coming, but it didn't surprise me that Gilbert was able to get one in.
Yeah, they equalized with about 5 or 6 minutes left.
Yeah, yep. And then Semini comes on after the goal, actually kind of makes a comeback. The old Kurt Schilling, Michael Jordan flu game.
Yeah, I love it.
Whoever comes back right at the end, and actually hits the post in extra time. Got around the goalkeeper first extra time.
A really nice little. It was a great effort.
Yeah,
really
tight angle, and he did
and it was
well.
like a little delicate touch too. He didn't just it wasn't like a blind. He definitely meant to do what he did.
But missed, unfortunately.
Yep. I think no
go ahead,
doubt
Ben.
about it, though. Like, other than that chance, it was one of those overtimes destined for penalties, right, Blake?
Yeah, and I mean this is the talking point, which we haven't talked to Pella about, but Gilbert switched their goalkeepers.
They did.
So
we had a little bit of a Keppa situation.
we thought, right? I mean, so Pella, like, here's my recommendation. The next, I know you guys want to get off your feet, but go back and just strike penalty after penalty.
Yeah,
because
they got bailed out a little bit, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah, and they a couple great penalties, a couple ones that I'm sure those boys wish they would have had to do again, and who knows, they might tomorrow night, right? And I would think it's safe to say they will strike a better ball than they did. But cool atmosphere, right?
Yeah, because Waukee Northwest and Centennial, which you may be able to hear in the background, that just kicked off. They were all arriving for the game, so you basically just had probably a couple thousand people surrounding the field, standing room only. It was really, really cool. What an atmosphere. And I would guess that the nerves played a little bit into it. But then I think some of those guys really play off that. And I think the main man for that is our goalkeeper, Tyler Killerin, the Pella keeper. He was fired up, wasn't he? Having a great day.
That first save, man. Like, he's already a tall, lean guy, but, man, he got down and, like,
all the way across.
Two hands. I mean, you didn't even have to use one hand. He actually used both. He did such a good job.
Yeah, so then Pella's next couple shots really were poor, and they were just, I think fortunate that the goalkeeper made a couple little mistakes there for Gilbert. But then it really came down to Tyler making one more great save. We mentioned this in the press conference, but he had an amazing celebration. So you'll have to check that out. I'm sure it'll pop up on the Twitter, on the Instagram, or maybe on one of our awesome post-game recap videos. And then, who's the difference, Blake?
Semini, again, like, the guy keeps popping up, and we got to figure out how to get the answer. Like, did he – because everybody kind of – well, not everybody. A lot of people lose track of penalties, right? What's the score? Do we win if we make? Do we – if I make it, do we win? Is there still one more to go? And I think he knew it was over.
His
was
celebration was great.
Yeah.
He scored, didn't even react, just turned and kind of opened his arms to the boys, and they came and embraced him. And, I would say that they it's going to be a great final. I think Pella, riding high after 2 overtime wins, knocking off the first seed, and then obviously a big win there in this game against Gilbert. So I'm excited for that 2A final.
Just if anyone had ever seen Eric Cantona's celebration, they said
exactly.
It was very similar
if
to
only
that.
He'd popped
Popped collars.
Hey, Mark, so I'm going to get some collars for those boys next year and pop it, and there you go.
Exactly. Well, so yeah, we're really looking forward to that final tomorrow afternoon. In the meantime, we are about to go check out what should be a great semifinal day here for the 3A boys. We're going to see a little Centennial against Waukee Northwest. Should be a hotly contested match. And then we're going to also have Pleasant Valley and Cedar Rapids Prairie playing on the stadium field. Looking forward to talking about those with you here soon. All right. It's been a long day today, boys. Just wrapping up the 3A action here for the boys at County Stadium, County Soccer Complex. It's a big night tonight, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of action. Maybe we should just start first over on Field 9. Cedar Rapids Prairie with the 7 seed was taking on, I believe it was the 5th seed, Pleasant Valley, and defending champions Pleasant Valley. And we've seen Pleasant Valley play a few times, and they're very much score and then lock it down, right? And so we sort of said, I saw actually the coach Kurt Lewis before the game, and he said, we just got to make sure we don't give something up early, and we should be okay. And as we were sitting down to watch the Centennial game, we heard a roar from Field 9, and Pleasant Valley scored, and we kind of joked, well, that might be the end of that, and it ended up being that way. 3-0 to Pleasant Valley, so we'll see Wayne Ward tomorrow in the final. And Pleasant Valley's taking on the winner of our Waukee Northwest Centennial match that we all couldn't help but watch because it was just going to be so tasty, right?
Lived up to its billing.
It sure did. It was a great game. Lots of drama on both sides of the ball and off the ball as well.
What a great first half, and the second half made it look awful.
Yeah,
right?
The play of the first half, people were moving the ball, it looked good. Second half was just helter-skelter.
Emotional,
Yeah,
just loved it.
Yeah.
So why don't we let's just start with the first half, talk about it a little bit. Matt, you want to just talk tactics for us? Since we do have, if you don't recognize the gentleman in the middle here, it's the Titan tactician, Matt. Say hey, Matt.
Hey. Yeah, I thought. If there was a better side to take.
Ready, buzz off.
We got an ankle biter.
We got an ankle biter.
If there was a better side in the first half, it was definitely Centennial. I was actually surprised at how Waukee Northwest played because traditionally Carlos ACB's teams, they like to pass it, they like to move the ball, they keep it on the floor. They got a bunch of technical players. I thought they did just the opposite today. I mean, they were perfectly happy just to lump it down the field and then defend.
And fight, right?
Yeah.
They were very feisty. Carlos did mention at halftime that he thought that Centennial had, carried the majority of the first half. But they did sort of fight their way back into it as the half wore on. Those last 10 minutes, there was some real action going on for Waukee Northwest. They were making some chances and pushing things.
Yeah, I mean, I think in any game there's some ebb and flow, and so there's rarely a game where you see one team just totally dominate for 45 minutes. But Waukee Northwest got the run of play back for a few minutes, but I was actually I thought that Centennial totally dominated the first half.
Yeah, fair enough. So we had good.
Should we get to the second half?
Yeah, let's talk about that quick. So second half, as you said, Blake, totally different than the first half. First half, a lot more soccer was being played. The second half was emotional, frenetic. All things considered, probably one of the more entertaining halves of soccer I've seen in a while.
Anybody that hasn't seen or is not a soccer fan, turn on those 40 minutes and you'll immediately become it, because that was awesome. That was great. All about high school soccer, right? Everything about it was awesome for me.
Yeah, when you because we weren't on field 9 over there, we just got both sides of the stands because there were so many people and there's only one grandstand here. You get just fans lining up on the sideline and even on the corner flag. And so, what that means is that everyone was. You can hear someone whisper. A player that says something in the field, the fans can hear. And so, there were even moments where the Waukee Northwest players, number 2 specifically, was jawing at the fans, and so it made for a pretty interesting environment for sure.
Yeah, so we get to it. So start out the second half, Northwest scores a goal kind of right away within the first 5 minutes.
It was like the 4th or 5th minute of the half.
Centennial, the goalkeeper, makes a save. It was at the far end, so we couldn't see a whole lot. Makes a save, maybe spills it or doesn't get on the end of it. Rebound comes in. Northwest, Abdullah.
That's right.
Beats everybody to the rebound and pokes it in. And crowd goes crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it really, from there, Waukee Northwest maintained momentum for a little bit, but then slowly Centennial clawed their way back, worked their way back in the game, and it sort of seemed like an equalizer was coming.
Yeah, it felt like an equalizer was coming. I thought that also just changed the whole dynamic of the game because it made it
even more emotional.
Yeah, I thought Centennial was able to stick to the game plan. They passed the ball, they moved the ball well in the first half, and then the goal gets scored. And like you said, it just becomes a little more frantic, and so it just changed the way they played a little bit because they were chasing the game and they knew it. And the longer things went on and the less time that was left, the game just got more frantic and frantic, I thought.
Yeah, no doubt about
Which
that.
for a neutral was great.
Yeah, we were definitely enjoying it. So eventually, Centennial does claw one back to make it 1-1, and then.
How tactical do you want to get? They put Rashidi over here on their wide left, right, and that freshman.
Yeah, the freshman
outside back number 3 for Northwest was really good. Picked up a yellow card. I don't know if he came back in the game. I don't think. Which I'm curious. We should have asked Carlos about that, but.
That was J.T. Spalding, the number 3.
Yeah.
He's a good little freshman player. Did well.
Yeah, I thought he was effective against everyone except Rashidi. Rashidi pretty much had anyone's number as he was running down the left. If he had the ball one-on-one, he was getting around the player. And I don't think he put a foot wrong until one of his last crosses of the game.
Yeah, he was running out of gas, I think, a little bit.
But yeah, so he was Heckenleibel got past his man, got to the end line, cut it back, and lo and behold, guess who it is? Ty Duax poking it in and I mean, right into us, and it was awesome.
Yeah, absolute mayhem. People are going crazy. But then, like in soccer, the cruel game that we talk about, it's those, usually 3 to 5 minutes after big moments, whether that's the beginning of the game, halftime, or goal scoring opportunity or goal scoring instance. In this situation, goal gets scored, and within 30 seconds, it's turned around, and now it's 2-1 because 20 seconds probably. 20 seconds from the peanut gallery is what they're saying. But so 20 seconds later, it's 2-1 back in favor of the Wolves.
Yeah, I mean it's just a complete lack of focus by Centennial after they get the equalizer, which they'll kick themselves forever for, because that's how Waukee played the entire game anyway. Was just lumping it long. I mean, you had some pretty skillful players at the back there. I thought their best center back was number 2, which is the player that all the controversy surrounds. But he was happy when he got it just to kick it long. And so, if there was one ball that Centennial should have known was coming off the kickoff, was something route one straight down the middle, and they just lost focus, and all of a sudden they're chasing the game again. This time, though, with very, very little time left.
Yeah, and so let's just talk then about the remaining, probably like 15 minutes or so after that. And there's a lot of action. What were some of those talking points, Blake?
Penalty shout after penalty shout after penalty shout after penalty shout.
Yeah, the pink team there, the referee crew was definitely. I don't know if they were having a good day or a bad day because it's obviously tough to tell in the moment. I would say that the way they handled it maybe wasn't always the best. I think it was just kind of back and forth, and with a loud crowd and fired up players. There's some moments where we thought we might lose control there, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything to say about the first 3, or should we talk about the fourth?
Well, so there were some at least 1 or 2 really strong penalty shouts, right? Some of them maybe less so of the 3 that we're talking about, but the fourth one, ball pops up at the top of the box ish. We don't know exactly where, right? Both players go up for the ball.
Second ball goes up, gets clattered through the back. Referee calls. Everybody agreed.
It's foul.
Foul. Everybody agreed, I think, right? Matt, Titan.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody complained about the foul.
Well, no. Nobody complained about the foul. The question was, where was the foul? Was it inside the box or outside the box? The interesting thing was that the referee pointed to the penalty spot, and the referee was probably 15 yards from the foul. I mean, he was right there.
Yeah, he was in a good spot.
He pointed. So everyone is thinking penalty, and then he goes over to his linesman and talks to the linesperson, and the linesperson says outside the box. Most have said outside the box, so they pull it back outside the box. Now, here's my view on it. I mean, I'm sitting in the end line. I mean, I can't say for 100% certainty whether it was inside of that box or outside of the box, but I'll tell you, with 2,000 people here, I bet somebody got a really good look at it.
Yeah, there's got to be a video or a picture of it somewhere.
All four of the penalty shots.
And nobody from Northwest was saying it was outside the box. Right?
That's
not one person on Northwest,
like
not one player.
They were just protesting the penalty.
Yeah, the penalty. It wasn't inside or outside. And why? I'm curious why he points to the spot before discussing it with his lino.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, like what the actual protocol is for a referee in that situation, but it seems to me that the conservative thing to do would be to blow the whistle and then say, hold on, I need to confer.
I mean, you've got to be sure it's inside the area to point to the area.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially without things like VAR, like the actual tools that the professionals have, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you make a decision, you go with it in that situation, right? I mean, because you're in terms of closeness to the ball, you are right on top of the ball. That's your call. If you're going to call a foul, you have to make a snap-set decision, because otherwise you lose all credibility, I think.
Well, and it seems to me like that's essentially what he had done by kind of missing, like, a couple non-calls, then followed by a call that he was unsure about. I think from there it was
right.
It's unfortunate, but the other challenge of this, right, is like it's human error.
Yeah.
You're always gonna miss calls, right?
Yeah, but the question is though, did he get it right or did he get it wrong, right? So he might have lost all credibility, but at the end of the day, the question is, did he get it right or get it wrong? Right. And I think the video will tell us that when we get an opportunity to see it.
Yeah, and you're right.
And hopefully he got it right.
Super unfair if we're sitting here being critical and he's gotten it right.
Yeah.
So, ultimately hindsight's 20/20 for everybody. And when I was coaching, my message to the players was always like, hey, the referees are basically like the weather. Like, you can't control them. You just got to play the game, and everybody's playing in front of the same guys.
So these two teams, Northwest and Pleasant Valley, played earlier this year. And Ben was at one of the.
Nope. Yeah, it was actually a 3-0 win. It would have been their second win of the season. There against Pleasant Valley, and I don't know if it was some sort of tournament because
they went over to the eastern side and played like somebody else pretty good. Bettendorf.
Yeah, I was going to say they played Pleasant Valley, Bettendorf, and I doubt it was Ames as well, but Pleasant Valley and Bettendorf, it looks like. So
Waukee won that game?
They did 3-0, and then they went on to beat Bettendorf 1-0. So
could have been a shortened game too. You never know. But.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too, we know that Pleasant Valley's MO is very much to be solid defensively and hard to break down. So I think it'll be a really interesting match if Waukee decides to set the ball down and play, and if they decide to go a little more route one and a little more physical like they were, especially in the second half today. It'll be really interesting to see what happens.
So I wonder how that works. Because is that a game that Waukee Northwest would have had to forfeit?
No.
No. Okay. I thought it was in the first 3 games.
That's what I meant. It was their second one of the season, but it was like halfway through the year.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Got it.
So
credit to the Waukee boys, though, right? They've figured out a couple different ways to win. They can play with the ball on the ground and look nice. They can battle. They can fight. They can compete and win as well.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely, because we have seen them play. So, that, again, was maybe why we're just surprised that they were capable of the battle.
Yeah, well, that was my first time seeing them play this year, but that was not like a typical
Carlos
squad in terms of how they played. Maybe that was the game plan, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they clearly, at the end of the game, killed the game off, right?
Yeah, they did.
So
well
there was, when there was 30 minutes left, they were killing the game off already.
The goalkeeper went down, didn't he? He collected his hands and did the old fall down to save or give himself an extra 5-10 seconds.
Corner kicks, they brought 2 guys out there. They waited as long as possible. And then Carlos started subbing, putting a player up there every time. So if the referee didn't catch it and stop the clock kept ticking. So the game plan, once they got ahead, was kill the game, and it didn't matter how much time was left.
Well, and it's interesting you say that too. Carlos's experience is pretty extensive, and then as we were sitting here having a chat with him in the press conference, Blake gave him a hard time because he didn't seem like he wanted to smile for us, but. Knowing Carlos, he's probably, like you said, still processing the game and already thinking about what's he going to do tomorrow, and how are they going to change things, or and we said, what's the plan for tonight? And he's like, I've got a long night ahead of me of work. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's at home watching a little film, making some decisions about how they play. I'm sure as far as he's concerned, he can rest on Sunday.
Yeah, credit to Duax, Brazow, those guys. Well done, guys, because that was a battle, entertaining, and your boys have. I was impressed with Centennial. I didn't think the time we saw them earlier this year to now they have improved remarkably.
Yeah,
agreed.
And one comment as well. You would never know from the tone of the game and how the players are interacting with each other on the field that after tonight they're basically in the same team, right? A lot of them, because it's
in theory, yeah.
Because there's on the club side you've got the VSA rush now, which adds an interesting just sort of aspect of the game, right? I mean, those boys and even the fans, right, are jawing each other, hate each other on the field, and that's the old sort of thing where you hate each other on the field and then you walk up in your friend's skin, right? So
coaching staffs as well,
exactly.
Brian and
I know they hardly exchange a handshake, but then all of a sudden next week they're gonna be in the same team. I think that's great. I think you should be able to have a competitive match where you hate each other, so to speak, on the field, and you fight to win. And then the next week you're fighting for a different cause and on the same page. I love that about sports.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's wrap it up for today. It's been a long one. We've got an even longer one tomorrow. We'll be here for all of the girls' games and the boys' games. We've got finals in 1A, 2A, and 3A, and it should be action-packed. We will see you soon.